So I think it's fair to say that my predictions over the course of these last few races have been a bit off. I said no one from the back of the DSB's GP races would end up in the top 5, yet the finishing positions of those who did start at the back of all 3 races ended up being first, second and first respectively, so that didn't really go as planned. And I said that with Yuchia and the likes of Mike starting at the front of this past Sunday's Division 2 race, that Sean L13 would have a hard time getting back into Division 1 as well. But as you've probably seen from the highlights video, there were reasons why that didn't pan out as expected either. So I think it's fair to assume at this point that the only thing that is guaranteed is that absolutely anything can happen. And we've seen another case of that this week in Division 1 as league leader Frinker drops down into Division 2. Now, I don't want to be going and making up all kinds of excuses for the poor performance from the Perth guys, but this past Sunday they did also have another round of their Perth F1 Championship, and it can't be easy to prepare for 2 events on the same day, so that could be one reason why we're seeing the names such as A-Wes, Headshot, Razodki, Frinker and G-Gamer positioning so lowly this week, whereas we're used to seeing them in the higher positions. On the other hand, it could have just been a bad race, spoilt by poor pit stop decisions. Who knows, perhaps they came out all amongst each other at the start of the race, didn't really know how to handle it, and spent most of their early laps tussling for position amongst themselves, whilst other drivers such as me, Nima and Peppers, Ryan and MC West were just able to drive away. Who knows, perhaps it was bad planning. Nevertheless, Frinker is going down, along with Skrazor, Nus Nus Manel, Charles the King, who were being reserved for, and G-Gamer just didn't have a good race either. But on the flip side of things, we see Nima95 returning to form. He was rather elated to get a victory after so long, almost like a race win drought for him in competitive format. I'm still looking for my win. I think the only significant thing I've ever won was the off-road race in the Benefactor Championship that nobody really prepared for except for me. So, even that one's tainted with a bit of insignificance. Nevertheless, I was really happy with my performance. Just got to stop driving into these things that refuse to move. Doesn't seem to be doing me any favours. And I did lose out on second, but thankfully managed to get that clutch overtake in the final series of corners against Ryan. So, I was really quite pleased with that one. Not a lot to say really about Division 1. I'll come back to how this has all affected the standings in the standings. So let's move on to Division 2. Now, to steal a line from Tom Pearson 15, who I was chatting to after the race, there's never a quiet moment in the world of GTA 5 racing. As relaxed and as chilled out as I would like this event to be, we're still going to get the most ridiculous of scenes. Sean L13 managing to get a clutch win on Oracle XR, who'd led the entire race from the first lap on the final corner. Well, not even on the final corner, on the final straight running towards the line. At the time, down the mic, I was shouting, go on, short shift, you've got it! I don't even know why, it's not that I support Sean L, I just like to see an underdog win from the back in any given race. I'm a sucker for an underdog. So congratulations to the both of you for getting into Division 1 in a relatively comfortable fashion. Now coming up next, we had Mini Temper and New Cheer battling for third and fourth, coming down the hill side by side on the final lap. So of course I'm thinking, oh god, here we go. But nothing could have quite prepared me for what was about to happen next. If you haven't seen it already, please just go and watch my last highlights video, because it's something that talking about just doesn't do enough justice. It's something you simply have to witness. And while Yuchia was rolling around on his roof like some kind of upside down turtle, there wasn't a great deal he could have done to get out of the way of a charging Jakey, who then proceeded to smash into him and spin off to the right. So Gaming Easter Egg comes through, pissing himself, by the way, on the mic, to reap the benefits of a completely free and gifted fourth promotion slot. So now it's down to the recovering Jakey and an intense battle between Mike BWFC and Chris D to see who can cinch the fifth and final promotion slot. And in the heat of the moment, Jakey just spins his car right around, not even thinking about it, rejoins the racing line and interjects himself right into the middle of Mike and Chris. getting a massive shunt across the line from Chris D, and I'm about to make Jakey's day go from bad to worse. But before I do that, let me give you a quick backstory of Jakey's race. Some incidents set him back several seconds at the start, and from then on it was a grind for him to get back in the game. And he even managed to do it. After the second pit stop, he was right there in the intense battle from 5th to 8th, which went on to the final... Shut up! Goddamn ambulances and people almost dying and needing to get to hospitals. He was right there in the intense battle from 5th to 8th, and he managed to execute a couple of decent overtakes to get into 4th, and not only has he lost out on a guaranteed promotion spot, but the incident has been reported, and due to a careless rejoining of the track in the heat of the moment, he's gone and landed himself a 10-second penalty on top of that, dropping him a further 2 positions. So Jakey, I really hope you don't take this too badly. Just think of it as 2 points lost. It's hardly anything, and in fact, as a result of this, you're going to start in front of Macy in the next race instead of behind him. So yeah, it sucks. But in the famous words of Vince McMahon,
life sucks, and then you die.
A profound assessment there from Mr. McMahon. One which I'm sure Macy will agree with, as his race was equally as abysmal. In fact, I think the only person happy outside of the top 5 will have been Got You Itch, and he wasn't even in the race. His reserve doing a stellar job of keeping him afloat in Division 2, as we see Diggs to Pop, Mo Youngstar, and the absent Crow Gamer and Whitey White get relegated. Wymrodco did manage to show up late and secure his position in Division 2 by performing well in Division 3. A couple of new faces in Division 3 this week then, as we see Jay Beast finally get his shot after disconnecting last week and picking up some rather unexpected purple points in the process, especially with drivers like Most C Wanted in the lobby. I certainly didn't expect that one, so congratulations for making a decent debut, along with I'm Awesome, who got the call last minute really and just came in with very limited practice, so I'm sure he's very pleased to be going up to Division 2 in his first race here at COTM. Wymrodco saves himself from relegation by positioning in the top 5 as a late driver, and although Racing Benji started with a decisive lead, a couple of mistakes saw Most C Wanted able to jump him during the pit stop phase. Most C Wanted just ran a consistent race and was able to stretch out a relatively comfortable lead, but then the battle from 2nd to 6th was ongoing throughout the race. And there was even a chaotic moment on the very final straight that I didn't catch in my highlights video, as I believe it was Jay Beast. Oh no, it was Racing Benji. As Racing Benji was coming through the final series of corners, he clips one of the barriers, goes spinning off to the right much like Jakey did, and if Jim Bob Stroud hadn't eased off and taken those final series of corners comfortably, perhaps he could have beaten Racing Benji to the line for that 5th promotion slot. He must have been kicking himself after he saw that he was only 2/10 behind at the very end. Another fantastic performance from Golub Shreko and Frezzies, long-time COTM attendee Senior Tota, is back in Division 3, and this time he manages to stay here, so that's always good to see. I think this is his 3rd appearance in the league, and this time he's finally able to stay here. That could have been aided by some of the bigger players disconnecting, however, as we saw Oshawott, Dylan and Dawson all disconnect, all from decent positions, so I've got no choice but to let them come back next week, which means the open door for new entries is more like a cracked door at this stage. There's not really a lot of room for new entries next week, but I've got the waiting list ready, so I'll inform the 2 drivers of who they'll be. And it's always worth getting ready anyway, because there's always a couple of no-shows, as we had this week in the form of Evil Tunic and Haribo. Those guys just didn't show up, so I quickly got a couple of drivers from the waiting list to come in, and it's worked wonders for I'm Awesome. He's already in Division 2, although he wasn't expected to race. So well done to everyone in Division 3 for another great race. LGE, sorry that your debut didn't go as planned. And Where Are You Going, Tommy? Thanks for showing up last minute. I'll probably see you guys again at some point in Season 2 when your names come back to the top of the list. or maybe even before that. Before. 1, 2, 3, 4. Foreshadowing. Puns. Standings. Speaking of four, fourth is the position I've completely skipped on my ascent to the top. I'm not giving up yet. I'm just a couple of points behind Headshot, and things are turning out in my favour. I mean, aside from beachfront property, where I almost got myself relegated, just about all of my other rivals have had themselves relegated, and my consistent performance that has seen me remain in Division 1 the entire time is finally sort of starting to show. So I'm very happy with where I am at the moment, and I hope that I can give Headshot a run for second place overall. I can't see myself catching Frinker, but who knows, maybe he'll get trapped in Division 2 next week. I hope he does. And we'll see a big surge in points from his closest competitors. Although I don't think that will be very likely. Even Frinker's just super chilled about the whole situation. He saw what happened to Razodkeef last week, and he's seen what's happened to Shawnell this week, so he's got to be rubbing his hands at the opportunity to score more points in Division 2 than most of us can even get in Division 1. So if you are in Division 2 this week and you have made it this far through the video, make it difficult for him. No, but really, just looking at the potential names that we've got lined up for Division 2 here, it's going to be difficult enough for Frinker to get back into Division 1 anyway. I know I say this every week, but this time it's for real. Wait till you see the starting grid on the events and grid video coming up later this week. There's an intense battle between 12th and 15th as we see 4 drivers all locked on 87 points, so it's going to be interesting to see which one of them is able to capitalise in these 2 remaining races. And apart from that, it's interesting how close everybody actually is on points. The fact that you get quite a lot of points every week and you're able to get a decent starting position with reverse grid order kind of keeps everybody in the mix. And you know, one 35 points win from Division 1 will skyrocket any of those guys in the 70s up to 100 plus points, and you can kind of see where that would put them in the table right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how these points line up next week's grid. In terms of rule changes, I'm not going to bring any rule changes for grid organisation in until Season 2. There's been a better grid lineup proposed, and I'll definitely be introducing that from Race 1, along with a new rules video. There'll be a couple of new rules regarding what to do with disconnections and what reserves will and won't be allowed to do for other drivers. Reserve drivers won't be scoring any fastest lap bonus points or any division bonus points in the future. But all of those changes are going to come in starting in Season 2. So I apologise if this rambling recap has been a bit lackluster this week, but I am really tight on time in terms of work. So I'm going to wrap this one up here. I hope you've enjoyed listening to me, and I will see you all next Sunday. Watch out for the upcoming videos which set the event stipulations. And good luck. See you guys.